So my name's Leigh Chapman. I'm the director of the Office of Policy for the Department of State in Pennsylvania, which is actually the agency in Pennsylvania that regulates elections, charities, corporations, and professional licensure. And I'm also the chair of the National Bar Association Young Lawyers Division, which is the division that represents lawyers under 40 years old or lawyers who have practiced less than 10 years. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my journey of becoming a lawyer and kind of what I went through. I'm an alumni of Howard Law School. I graduated in 2009, so it's really wonderful to come back and see the professors and the dean and see how the school's doing so well. So it's great to see that. But I'm a millennial. I'm 31 years old, and I actually went straight from college to law school, so I didn't take a break. And so in the 7 years I've been out of law school, I have actually worked in various areas. So I've worked at a law firm, I've worked at a nonprofit, and now I work for government. But I just wanted to talk about how I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was in your position. I'm originally from California. I grew up in San Diego and wanted to get very far away for college, so I went to the University of Virginia. And at UVA, I knew that my interest was civil rights. It was racial justice, so I did everything I could to learn more about that subject area. So I took classes from the late Professor Julian Bond. I ended up double majoring in history and African American studies, history and American studies. I had a minor in African American studies. And then my very practical father asked me when I was a fourth year at UVA, what are you going to do to make money? So I thought long and hard about that. My last year in college, I decided to apply to law school. It was a very last-minute decision. But the one law school that I really wanted to go to was Howard Law because of the history, because of Charles Hamilton Houston, Thurgood Marshall. My interest in civil rights really anchored my decision to come here. So when I came here, I joined a civil rights clinic. I took a lot of classes in that area, voting rights. I had Professor Adderson Francois, so if you end up coming here, he's an amazing professor that runs a civil rights clinic. And we actually helped write an amicus brief in a voting rights case, a Supreme Court voting rights case. So how many students actually can say that they have their name on a U.S. Supreme Court brief? Those are the types of opportunities that you have when you come to Howard Law School. And that's really when I first became exposed to voting rights. Like many students, I did the on-campus interviewing, so this was pre-recession, I had about 45 interviews with law firms at Howard. That's one great thing about Howard Law School. I feel like I'm promoting Howard Law School, you should all come. But the opportunities that you have, if you want to go to a law firm, all the big law firms come here. So all my classmates were interviewing, I decided to interview, and I had offers from firms in Chicago, DC, New York. So I actually decided to go to a law firm in DC, and I said, they have good training, I might as well try that. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I was just kind of trying different things, but I knew my passion was civil rights. So I actually, in 2008, I ended up summering at a law firm in DC, and they had this August option where we could either travel to another country and do business development, or we could work for a nonprofit of our choice. So knowing that civil rights was kind of my passion, I was Googling civil rights organizations, DC. I knew about the NAACP, I knew about some of the big ones, but this organization called Advancement Project popped up. And I contacted them, and I said, can I intern for you in August? You don't have to pay, this is part of the deal with the firm. And they said, sure, come on. So I ended up interning there for the month of August, and then the recession hit in 2009. So I don't know if you guys heard about what was happening with these big law firms around that time, but I actually received a letter saying that I was deferred, which meant that I could not start at the law firm upon graduation, and that the law firm would actually pay me to work somewhere else of my choice. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do some civil rights work for this year. I'm gonna try to expand and work on my passion. So I called up Advancement Project. I was like, hey, remember me? I'm the intern that worked with you for a few weeks in August. And they said, come on, you can work for us for a year. So I ended up working at Advancement Project for a year, did immigrant justice work. We worked with taxi cab workers in Prince George's County. I did some work on the federal stimulus. And then that year was up, and then I had to go to the law firm. And at that point, I think I really knew, my whole life I knew civil rights was my passion. But at that point, I really reluctantly left because I was really enjoying my experience working in various areas. I ended up going to the law firm for 2 years, working in energy regulatory work. And then the law firm I was at, I don't know if you guys heard of the law firm Dewey and LaBeouf. That was the law firm that I chose. It collapsed in 2012. So it was the biggest law firm collapse in history. It was international, white shoe law firm, had been around since like 18 something, and all of a sudden, the whole thing fell apart. So I was without a job for a while, a few months, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I was invited to a dinner from my boss at Advancement Project, Judith Brown Deanna. She said, do you want to come? So I came, and then she offered me a job to work in voting rights for the 2012 election. So I ran the Nevada voter protection team. Then from there, I litigated the Pennsylvania voter ID case. I also litigated the Wisconsin voter ID case. So I was able to get, a lot of experiences with my passion. So I'm telling you this whole story because when I was sitting in your seat, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew my underlying passion was civil rights. So that's what I went to college to study, and when I went to law school, I really decided to focus on that. But through the last 7 years, I've really learned a few lessons that have helped me be successful. I think the first lesson is be helpful to others and expand your network. I think it's really important that you're helpful to others. If someone asks me, hey, I'm working on this panel or this nonprofit fundraiser or something, I'm always trying to help others. I don't expect anything in return. People remember you later, so I feel like I've been able to move up in my career because of the relationships that I've had with other people. So I think that's very important for you to know. The second thing is to always give back to your community that you live in and make a measurable impact. So at the National Bar Association Young Lawyers Division, my goal when I became chair was to actually do something that's impactful. We have a lot of conferences, which it's great, we network and things like that, but I wanted young lawyers to make a difference in our society based on what's happening right now. So I was able to get young lawyers signed up for the Clemency Project, which is the initiative that the Department of Justice and the White House has right now, so they can release people who've been serving time for nonviolent drug offenses. And I don't know if you saw the news, but I think it was earlier this week, the president commuted the sentences of quite a few people. So, and one of our young lawyers, Brittany Bird, was there. She actually worked on a woman's case. She had a life sentence for a nonviolent drug offense, and she worked on her case, and she was able to be released and be reunited with her family, because what a waste of life, to be locked up for life because of that. So I think it's important to focus on something that's impactful in your life. And the third thing I have is to always smile. It's something I'm working on. So at the Department of State, I have two bosses, the Governor of Pennsylvania and the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania. And the Secretary of State always says his #1 rule is to smile. But I really think that helps you in life, is just to remember to be nice to other people. It goes back to my first point of being helpful to others. That really gets you a long way in life. So I hope that if you do decide to go to law school, you get involved with the Black Law Students Association. The National Bar Association also has our own law student division. I hope you also get involved with that. And then once you graduate, you can become a member of the Young Lawyers Division. So please feel free to reach out to me. I have cards if you want to connect and talk about my career path. Maybe you're interested in policy work as well, or civil rights. And also if you want to go to Howard Law, I'm happy to talk about that too. So thank you.